Hello, and welcome back to another video on legends and myths. In this video, I'll be telling you the story about one of the most well-known myths in the Japanese pantheon. This myth tells the harsh and beautiful tale of how two primordial deities created the islands of Japan and gave birth to many other Shinto gods, or kami. These two divine figures were known as Izanagi and Izanami, who were a divine couple, and who were also the eighth pair of brother and sister gods to appear after heaven and earth separated out of chaos. Before the formation of the world, when the land was shapeless like a jellyfish, first deities came into being at Takamagahara, the high plane of heaven. Takamagahara is the home of the Amaterasu, heavenly gods. It is often depicted as being located up in the sky, and it is believed to be connected to the earth by the bridge Amanuki-hashi, the floating bridge of heaven. Beginning with three primal kami, Amenomina-kanushi, Takami-musubi, and Kami-musubi, 7 successive generations of gods and goddesses came into being, the 7th generation consisting of the male kami Izanagi, the man who invites, and the female kami Izanami, the woman who invites. The older generations of kami assigned Izanagi and Izanami the task of bringing order and structure to the shapeless chaos that was the world. To help them succeed in what seemed to be an impossible task, the couple were given the jeweled spear called Amenonuboko. From the heavenly floating bridge, Izanagi and Izanami peered down at the inchoate mass below, not knowing how to begin the work of creation. Finally, they tried stirring the primal ocean with the point of the heavenly jeweled spear. As they withdrew the spear, salt crystallized into drops on the tip, and these fell back into the ocean, creating the first landmass. The first island to be created was Onogoro-shima, which then Izanagi and Izanami immediately used the island to make their home and built a palace called the 8-Measure Palace. In the very center of the palace stood a pillar, the heavenly August Pillar. Established in their new home, Izanami and Izanagi decided it was time to start a family. They then hosted their wedding ceremony, where the ritual involved circling around the heavenly August Pillar with the two gods moving in opposite directions, Izanagi turning to the left while Izanami moved to the right, so they met each other coming round. However, during this sacred marriage ritual, Izanami wrongly spoke first when they passed each other, and as a consequence of this impiety, their first child was a miscarriage and born an ugly weakling without limbs and bones. This was the god Hiruko, who would later become the patron of fishermen and one of the 7 gods of good luck. Izanagi and Izanami abandoned their baby and placed him on a boat of reeds for the sea to take it where it would. The two then tried a second time, but once again they were still not satisfied with their offspring. Crestfallen Izanagi and Izanami returned to heaven to ask the elder kami where they had gone wrong. The gods revealed that the reason for their misfortune was because of the incorrect performance of the marriage due to Izanami greeting her husband first, for it was unnatural for the female partner to take the initiative, which was why their offspring had been misshapen. With this in mind, the couple returned to their palace to try again. This time, when they circled the pillar, Izanagi greeted his wife first, which she then responded appropriately. Soon after, Izanami successfully gave birth to the islands of Awaji, Shikoku, Oki, Kyushu, Tsukushi, Iki, Tsu, Sado, and last of all, she delivered the largest island, Honshu. The couple gave the land they had brought into being the name of Oyashimakumi, meaning the land of 8 great islands. Following this, Izanami brought forth the smaller outlying islands. Having given birth to the land, Izanami began to give birth to the kami that would give it shape. In turn, she brought forth the kami of the sea, of the wind, of trees and mountains and other natural manifestations. However, in giving birth to the kami of fire, Kagutsuchi, she was burned to death, despite her husband's attempts to save her. As Izanami died, further kami were born from her body. It is said that many kami were born from her tears, as she suffered from her injuries until finally Those injuries led to her demise. Revenge was swift, though, as Izanagi was so enraged that he cut the fire god to pieces with his sword. It was said that many new deities were born from his bloody sword. Izanagi was grief-stricken, but after grieving for Izanami for a long time, Izanagi became determined to bring her back and set off for Yomi, the land of the dead. Eventually, after a long and perilous journey, Izanagi came to a great mansion guarded at the front by fearsome demons. Creeping through the back entrance, Izanagi found his wife, and there was a joyful reunion. Izanagi begged Izanami to return to the world of the living with him, but she sadly replied that this was not possible, as she had taken food while in Yomi, and so was forbidden from returning to the realm of the living. At Izanagi's entreaty, however, she agreed to go and plead to the gods if she could possibly go back with him. Before she went, Izanami asked her husband to promise not to go right inside the mansion. He agreed, but after a whole day had passed and she did not return, Izanagi could wait no longer and went inside the mansion, looking for his beloved, using a tooth of his comb as a torch. However, Izanagi was in for a shock, for as he was wandering within the mansion by the frail light of his torch, he was horrified to come across the body of his wife, now apparent as just a rotten, decaying corpse, to which a number of recently born thunder kami were still attached. Izanami was more than displeased at her husband for breaking his promise and seeing her in such a state. In revulsion and terror, Izanagi turned to flee, pursued by the spurned corpse of his wife, the thunder kami along with many warriors and the hags of the house of the dead. During his retreat, Izanagi stopped the pursuing thunder kami by throwing his stick in their path, and it was at this moment that the two gods of roads, Chimatano Kami and Yachimata Hiko, were created, together known as Saeno Kami or Dosujin. After fighting off his pursuers and finally reaching the outside world, Izanagi managed to imprison Izanami in the house of the dead by rolling up an enormous stone to block the entrance. The entrance to Yomi, covered by the stone, is said to be Ifuya Pass at Izumo. Thenceforth, Izanami became known as Yomotsu Okami, goddess of the dead. After having finally escaped unharmed from such a terrible place of darkness, the god had to perform a cleansing ritual in the river Woto to rid himself of the impurities of the underworld. It was during this ritual that three prominent deities were born. These deities were none other than Amaterasu, the sun goddess, who was born when Izanagi washed his left eye, Tsukuyomi, the god of the moon, when he washed his right eye, and Susanoo, the storm god, when he washed his nose. It is also said that Shinatsu Hiko, the god of the wind, was born from Izanagi's breath. In addition, when he cast off his tainted clothes in the river, a further 12 gods were born from 12 pieces. The creation myth of Izanagi and Izanami is an important story in Japanese Shintoism. They were a divine couple in Japanese Shintoism who were responsible for creating the islands of Japan and countless other gods and goddesses. They symbolize the concept of yin and yang, with Izanagi as the male principle and Izanami as the female principle, which they are seen as the ultimate creators of the universe. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this to come. Let me know what you thought about this story, and be sure to also let me know what other deities you would like for me to make a video on next. Take care, and I'll see you in the next myth.